Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're just about ready to start. So I'd like to welcome you all here to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Council of Thames Center. The date is Monday, June 15th, 2026, and it's 5 p.m. and I'd like to call the meeting to order. I haven't been notified of any additions to the agenda, and
Mayor, we've just made a slight addition to the resolution for the Court of Revision. The very first one, just to appoint the members, we will need to do that. That's the only addition to the agenda.
okay, thank you, Jana. So in that case, then I wonder if I could have a mover and a seconder to approve the agenda of the June 15th regularly scheduled meeting as circulated. Councillor Lockie and seconded by Deputy Mayor Smyber. All in favor? And that carries. Thank you. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest from the members of council? Okay, seeing none. Any announcements? I don't have any, so if anyone from council has any? No? Okay. And we have no presentations or delegations at the moment. So we're going to be moving into the Court of Revision. The Court of Revision will hear any appeals to the charges being assessed to properties for the major drain 2026 as outlined in the engineer's report professionally adopted on May the 11th, 2026. A mover and a seconder that council adjourn its regular meeting at 5:01 to sit as the, in order to sit as the Court of Revision for the major drain under the Drainage Act. And we need a few members to be appointed to the Court of Revision. I've asked the Deputy Mayor if she would be willing to sit as the chair. Any other members of council who would like to sit on that?
So it can be all 5 or it could be just 3.
Would 3 people like to sit on Court of Revision? Councillor Lockie? Okay. Councillor Crockett? And how about you, Councillor Heeman? Okay. Oh, there's 3 plus the chair or 3 in a 5.
So you're, as long as you're going to.
No, that's fine. Then you don't have to. So we'll have Deputy Mayor Smybert as the chair and we will have Councillor Lockie and Councillor Crockett. Okay. So we're going to adjourn our regular meeting at 5:02 p.m. And we have announced who will be sitting. And the mover and seconder for that, moved by Councillor Lockie and seconded by Deputy Mayor Smyber. All in favor? Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mayor McMillan. So with respect to the Court of Revision, I'm just going to ask staff if any appeals have been received.
No, your chair, there has been no appeals received.
Thank you. Also under the Drainage Act, owners have the ability to file a late appeal. I just wanted to know if anyone in the audience or if a property owner wishes to file a late appeal. And I'm not seeing anything. So we will move then right to the questions from members of the Court of Revision on this matter. Does any member have any questions? And I don't see that there's any. And due to the fact that we don't have any appeals, I believe that the decision should be straightforward. And there is a recommendation that's listed on the agenda, and that is to adopt the assessment schedule that was submitted as part of the engineer's report dated March 20th, 2026 by Headway Engineering. And if I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Crockett and Councillor Lockie. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. And then if we can get a motion to adjourn Court of Revision, please. Councillor Lockie and Councillor Crockett. And we're going to close it at 5:04 p.m. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor Smybert. And then we're back to our regular council meeting. Beginning with item number 8 on your agenda, a consent application B5-26 for the property at 179 Minnie Street in Dorchester. And we're going to be looking to the planner, Aaron Besh, for an overview of the applicant.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. So this application before you this evening, again, is for 179 Minnie Street here in Dorchester. The purpose of this application is to sever a parcel of land to facilitate the creation of a residential lot. The property itself is approximately 3,183 square meters in size. It's located on the south side of Minnie Street, just east of Clara Street in the village of Dorchester. The lands are currently used for residential purposes and contain a single detached dwelling serviced by municipal water and private sanitary services, along with a detached garage and a pool shed. According to the Thames Center official plan and zoning bylaw, the subject lands are designated residential and zoned residential first density R1. The applicant is proposing to sever a parcel with approximately 33 meters of frontage in an area of approximately 1,490 square meters. This would create a new residential lot along Minnie Street. The lot to be severed contains the existing garage, which the applicant is proposing to retain, and a new single detached dwelling would be proposed on the severed lot. The retained lands would have a frontage of approximately 32 meters in an area of 1,691 square meters and would contain the existing dwelling, in-ground pool, and pool shed. The lands contain two driveways, one for the existing dwelling and another that leads back to the detached garage at the rear of the severed lands. So the proposed consent represents a form of residential infill development within the built-up area of Dorchester. It's a designated community area within the for growth and development within the county official plan. The proposal would create one additional residential lot within an existing settlement area and make efficient use of an underutilized parcel that has already has frontage on a municipal road and access to water services. In doing so, the application supports the housing intensification and settlement area policies of the PPS, the county official plan, and the Thames Center official plan as well. Although municipal sanitary services are not currently available to the subject lands, the official plan expressly contemplates limited infill and small-scale redevelopment on private sanitary services, provided acceptable standards can be met. Given that the proposal involves the creation of one single residential lot within an established neighborhood, I am satisfied that it does constitute infill development for our community. Recommended conditions of consent require the confirmation of suitable soil conditions, septic capability, and connection to the existing water service, which would ensure the proposal can be appropriately serviced without any negative impacts. I do also want to note that during the consultation process, it was brought to our attention by the drainage superintendent that there is an enclosed drain that runs along the property to the west. It's 167 Minnie Street. It's approximately 3 meters off of the mutual property line. The drainage superintendent advised that the drain would have a setback of 10 meters. Therefore, having 3 meters on 167 Minnie would have an increased setback, side yard setback on the proposed lot of 179 Minnie, which would be approximately 7 meters. So our current side yard setback requirement is 2 meters. And with this drain location, it would have a further constraint of 7 meters. However, he did indicate that were the applicant, if the applicant was to apply for a minor variance application, there could be some support for a reduction to that setback, as the engineering report that the superintendent has for this particular drain indicates that they only really need a clearance of about 6 meters, and it's not a significantly deep drain. So it would reduce the likelihood of any impact on a foundation if it was to be located any closer than 10 meters. In addition to the drainage constraint, the property is also constrained by the proximity to the CN rail line. This is an active line and requires a minimum setback of 30 meters from the rear property line to the wall of any future dwelling. In support of the application, the applicant has demonstrated a buildable area of approximately 325 square meters or approximately 3,500 square meters. taking into account the required rail setback, the municipal drain setback to the west, and the applicable R1 zone setbacks. So I am still satisfied that even with these constraints, there is sufficient area on the severed parcel to accommodate a dwelling in the future. Further, the septic system may be located within the 30-meter rail setback and therefore would not reduce the available building envelope. As it is in proximity to the CN rail line, they did provide a list of recommendations through the circulation process. It is appended to my report in the agency comments section. They had a list of a number of things that they recommend. They're not requirements, but they are recommendations. And I am satisfied that the proposal can meet the intent of the railway compatibility policies through our official plan, and that through the development agreement and through a recommendation for a chain link fence around at the property line, the mutual property line, that these matters can be addressed through conditions of approval. So I am satisfied that the proposal maintains compatibility with the adjacent corridor while still permitting residential development of the lands. I also note that both the severed lot and retained lot would be deficient in lot area, as they would measure 1,490 square meters and 1,691 square meters, whereas the R1 zone does require a minimum lot area of 2,000 square meters. And although both resulting lots would be deficient in area, the deficiencies are relatively minor in nature and are based on the configuration of the property and the absence of sanitary services in this area of Dorchester. Both lots would still significantly exceed the minimum frontage requirements of the R1 zone and would remain comparable in size to other lots in the area. So I am satisfied that the lots could still accommodate residential development while maintaining the character of the area. I've also listed a number of conditions in this regards. A minor variance or rezoning application would be required to recognize the deficient lot area, as well as the applicant would need to demonstrate through a qualified professional that the lot can adequately contain a septic system for a future home. I did want to note, though, that the minor variance application, there's an additional part to this one where they have the detached garage on the lands to be severed. That is something that we don't typically permit to be a standalone use on a residential lot because it doesn't have a primary residential use. We have had bylaw enforcement issues in the past, of course, based on someone misunderstanding what the purpose of the property is for. I have recommended a condition that either the detached garage be demolished and removed from the property, or the applicant apply for a temporary use zoning bylaw to permit it for a period of time, which would allow a future purchaser to construct a house and make it a legal compliant building. The minor variance application, I will not make them do both a variance and a rezoning application. It could all be taken care of under one rezoning, therefore reducing additional work for the poor applicant. So my application was circulated as per the requirements of the Planning Act. I have included all of the comments that we have received. A number of them have been put into conditions. The CN rail line requirements or recommendations are also in there. And I did want to note that we have received comments from the UTRCA as well, and that there is a small portion of the land that is regulated. However, they have no objections to the application. And no public comments are received on this one as well. So my recommendation this evening is that the application be approved subject to the 19 conditions that are attached. It does seem like a rather large number of conditions. However, most of them would be dealt with through the development agreement, and it would be a future purchaser's responsibility, such as the future access, 911 address, and that sort of thing. So I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin. First of all, is the applicant or the agent either online or in the room with anything else that they would like to say? There's one gentleman, he's not. Oh, okay. Anyone online, Sarah? Okay, maybe what they could do is raise their hands so that we recognize that they're there. If they wish to make a comment, now's a good time to do it. Or ask question. No, we're good? Okay, all right then. So any questions from members of council on this planning application? Okay. Very thorough. Well, in that case, if there's no further discussion, the public participation on this matter is now closed. And a mover and a seconder to close the public portion of the meeting at 5:15 p.m. Oh, wait a minute. How do we get to that? There it is. Sometimes these scripts are so long. Okay, all right. So the decision portion, a mover and a seconder to that the application for consent B526 requested by Cindy McIntyre for lands legally described as part of Lot 1 Plan 351 Geographic Township of North Dorchester, Municipality of Thames Center, and known municipally as 179 Mini Street be approved subject to the attached conditions. A mover and a second. Councillor Heeman, and seconded by Councillor Lockie. All in favor? And that carries. 2 pages. Yeah, yeah. It's huge. Okay, now we can close the public meeting for the public participation at 5:16 and go into the Committee of Adjustment. Deputy Mayor Smyber and Councillor Crockett, all in favor, and that carries. Okay, the Committee of Adjustment is dealing with a minor variance application A5-26, Block 6 and 8, Plan 33M 849 Hawthorne Park, Dorchester. And again to Ms. Besh to present.
Thank you very much. So the purpose of this next application is to seek relief from the comprehensive zoning bylaw to permit street townhouse dwellings with 2-car wide driveways. Specifically, the application seeks permissions for driveways occupying 74% of the lot frontage of each townhouse unit, whereas the zoning bylaw permits a maximum driveway width of the lesser of 6 meters or 40% of the lot frontage along the street used for access. And relief is also sought to permit parking areas to occupy 74% of the front yard, whereas the zoning bylaw permits a maximum of 25%. So blocks 6 and 8 are located within the central portion of Whitethorn Crescent in the draft approved Hawthorne Park subdivision in Dorchester. Block 6 has an area of approximately 0.38 hectares or almost 1 acre and approximately 115 meters of frontage on Whitethorn Crescent. It is the one that is sort of north-south, number 1 to 25. And block 8 is approximately 0.44 hectares or 1.1 acres and approximately 194 meters of frontage along Whitethorn. The subject lands are currently vacant and have been acquired by Hayho Homes for the development of 29 street townhouse dwellings, which would each have their own individual access. The applicant has advised that a future part lot control exemption will be applied for, which will be submitted to facilitate the creation of the lots as freehold townhouse lots rather than remaining as one large block. Through this minor variance application, the applicant is seeking relief to increase the permitted width and area of driveways to accommodate 2 vehicles side by side for each unit. Together with the 2 parking spaces provided within each garage, this would permit a total of 4 parking spaces per townhouse unit. So this application, or the applicant has advised that the reason for this application is their experience with similar townhouse developments. By maintaining the current zoning requirement for single width driveways, this may lead to an increase of on-street parking parking on landscaped front yard areas, unauthorized driveway widening, and vehicles extending into the municipal right-of-way. The requested relief is intended to provide sufficient on-site parking and reducing these issues. The applicant has also demonstrated that the proposed townhouse lots will continue to provide the minimum 30% landscape open space that is required by the R3-13 zone. So I have analyzed the application against the 4 tests of minor variance. And while the numbers themselves do seem quite significant to go from 25% to 74 and 40 to 75%, it's the impact that we evaluate in this type of circumstance. So I am satisfied that the requested relief will not result in unacceptable impacts on the adjacent properties or the surrounding neighborhood. In fact, it might alleviate on-street parking at this location. The applicant initially came forward with 2 driveway proposals for how they taper from the property line to the curb, and working with the Public Works Department. It was determined that this arrangement would be preferable, which is straight down to the curb rather than tapering in. And the reason for this is that, again, you would see unauthorized widening, people driving over their green space, damage to the curbs, that sort of thing. So it really is intended to alleviate those concerns. I am satisfied that the variance is appropriate for the use of the land. The applicant is still able to accommodate the 30% landscape open space. When they come forward in the future for part lot control to separate them into individual lots, they will still meet the zoning requirements. So that is a big thing that we look for in this type of situation. It still maintains the intent of the official plan to provide for medium density housing, especially in this area where it already has the zoning to accommodate this type of dwelling structure. This is just trying to ensure that there isn't going to be an abundance of on-street parking. So that being said, the application was circulated as per the requirements of the Planning Act. I did not receive any comments or concerns. Public Works specifically in this case had no concerns with the proposal. Therefore, and no public comments were received as well. So my recommendation this evening is approval subject to one condition, and it's just that no driveway exceeds 5.2 meters or 17 feet in width, which is what the applicant has demonstrated on their site plan. And that is just to ensure that we are not giving a blanket 74%. It will be kept somewhat to a minimum along the frontage. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Yes, is someone online? Oh, okay. Certainly, bring him in.
Hello, are you able to hear me?
Oh, yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much for considering our application. My name is Will Hayhoe. I'm the Vice President Operations at Hayhoe Homes, who are constructing these units. And as Erin mentioned in her summary, we have been building townhouse units in many different municipalities for 20 years. And over the course of that time, we have built townhouse developments just like this. We've built them with single car driveways, and we have built them with double width driveways. And in this application, we're seeking relief to be able to have double width driveways. And by that, I mean you can park 2 cars side by side. And over the years, we've seen the results of both approaches. And just last week, in preparation for tonight's meeting, I drove through a community where there was one street with single car driveways, and on that street there was on-street parking everywhere. There was cars that were parked with their bumper projecting across the curb into the street, blocking the sidewalk, parked illegally on one side of the street. And in the exact same subdivision, when you turn the corner to where the city of St. Thomas, in this case, allowed us to build 2 car driveways as we're requesting here, in approximately 80 units, there was one car parked on the street and everything was clear out of the way up against the garage. And our assessment, building communities like this for a long time, is that that's a much more desirable situation for both the residents that live at these buildings and also for city maintenance workers, city bylaw enforcement officers, and just for people who may not live in those units but drive through. It's a much nicer feeling to drive through a street where the cars are neatly off the street as opposed to packed all the way down to the curb, lots of on-street parking. So that's just a comment that I wanted to add, but I'm also happy to answer any questions that any of the council might have about our application.
Thanks very much, Mr. Hayhoe. At this point, I'll find out if there's anyone from the public who wants to make a comment on this planning application. Okay, anyone else online? Okay, all right then. So I'll turn it over then to the members of council to ask if they have any questions or comments regarding the application. Councillor Lockie, go ahead.
Yeah, through your worship to the planner, I absolutely agree. I think a neighborhood is a lot more aesthetically pleasing when there's not cars parked all over the road. But will there still be any road parking if available, or would this eliminate the option to park on the road at all?
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. Sorry, the location map does show there is a break in the block, so it is not continuous driveways along the frontage. There could be an opportunity for several cars to park along Whitethorn Crescent on this area. We also don't know what the housing across the road will look like. So again, I had mentioned that there was 2 driveway situations that they proposed. One of them was that they tapered down at the bottom so you could fit cars in between more of the driveways. However, it was Public Works opinion that this was the preferable situation, that where they were extended fully down to the curb. And certainly, you know, again, we don't know what the housing is going to look like along the rest of the road. So there could be opportunities. I think there's singles up a little further up that would accommodate more on-street parking.
Perfect, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Lockie. Councillor Crockett?
Thank you, Mayor. More of a comment. I agree with Councillor Lockie here that I think 2-car width makes sense, especially in a community like ours that doesn't necessarily have regular public transit. And we do often chat about the fact that there's typically more than 1 car per household. So I think that this is appropriate. And I want to just thank Hayhoe Homes for bringing this forward.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Heeman?
Yeah, just real quick, I think if you look at the map and you don't know that those are double wide, the first thing you think is people are gonna be parking on the street. So it's good that they are double wide and that mitigates it. And, you know, it's a better community when you don't have to look through cars to see pedestrians. So I think it's a better design feature.
Okay. If there are no other comments then from the committee members, a motion to move to close the public discussion on this. No, I'm sorry. Keep dripping. My apologize. There being no further discussion, the public participation hearing is now closed and we move to a decision, which is appended to your agenda. Basically that the application for minor variance A526 filed by Sifton Properties Limited to permit a driveway width of 74% of the lot frontage per townhouse unit to a maximum of 5.2 meters, 17 feet, and a parking area that occupies 74% of the front yards for lands legally described as blocks 6 and 8, Plan 33M 849, Geographic Township of North Dorchester, Municipality of Thames Center, be approved subject to the conditions appended to the motion. A mover and seconder. Moved by Councillor Lockie and seconded by Councillor Heeman. All in favor? And that carries. Okay, a mover and a seconder to adjourn the Committee of Adjustment at 5:29 PM. Councillor Crockett and Deputy Mayor Smybert. All in favor? And that carries. Thanks. Okay, item number 10, approval of the previous minutes of council from the May 25th, 2026 meeting, approved as circulated. Councillor Crockett and Deputy Mayor Smybert, all in favor? And that carries. We're moving on to item number 11, which is the consent agenda. Items listed under the consent agenda are received for information in one motion. Council members may request that one or more items be separated for further action. And I believe Councillor Crockett has asked that item 11.10 be pulled. Anyone else looking for something to be pulled from the consent agenda? Okay, go ahead, Councillor Crockett.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to pull this motion for support. We talk about road safety here a lot, and we'll continue to the end of this meeting. So I just wanted to put Thames Center support behind the motion to expand traffic calming and speed mitigation techniques provincially.
Okay. Don't, are you moving that as a, are you moving support to be sent to other?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. And seconded by Councillor Heman? Is that what your two fingers in the air?
Yeah,
Yeah,
do you want to
okay.
receive all the rest and then support that one?
Yes, that's
Okay,
fine.
okay,
Yeah, we
sure.
might as well do it all at once.
And now we just need to vote.
Okay. All in favor? And that carries. Okay, thanks. Reports of departments is item number 12 on your agenda. The first one, 12.1, PW 020-26 King Street Storm Sewer Upgrade and Road Urbanization Construction Award. And Deputy, sorry, just gave you a new title. Director of Public Works, Terry Craven.
Thank you,
Go ahead.
Worship. Report PW 02026 is for council approve the award of the King Street, AKA Thorndale Road, storm sewer upgrade and road urbanization construction contract to Bluecon Construction for $3,533,333, excluding HST, and request authorization from the mayor and clerk to sign the agreement and approve project funding as outlined in Appendix A. The project will urbanize Thorndale Road from Missouri Road to White Creek to Middlesex County standards, adding storm sewers with private connections, curb and gutter, a 3-lane cross section, sidewalks, electric conduit, and a signalized pedestrian crossing at Burger Trail to support existing properties and new development. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Jared. Are there any questions?
I don't have
Councillor
any
Heath.
questions.
Go ahead.
I don't have any questions. I just want to say thank you. I know this has been it's been a slog, been a long haul, so this is good. Thank you.
Okay, so a motion to approve the awarding of the contract as shown on your screen here or appended to your agenda. Moved by Deputy Mayor Smybert and seconded by Councillor Heman. All in favor? And that carries. Okay, another one then for 12.2 PW 021-26 RFT for the hot mix asphalt on Fairview Road. Go ahead, Mr. Craven.
Thank you, Worship. PW 021-26 is for council to award RFT TC 00226 for hot mix asphalt from Fairview Road, on Fairview Road from Evelyn to Whiten Drive to JR Civil Infrastructures Limited for $673,765.89, including HST. They were the lowest compliant of 5 bidders. The scope includes HL4 asphalt placement, driveway restoration, granular A shouldering, and a 400-meter steel beam guide rail. The net cost fits within the 2026 hot mix asphalt capital budget of $1.1 million to support Thorndale development and address pavement deterioration. If any questions, I'd happy to answer them.
All right, thanks, Mr. Craven. Any questions from council on this one? Okay. So a mover and a seconder that report number PW 021-26 RFT hot mix asphalt for Fairview Road award be received for information, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute an agreement with JR Civil Infrastructures Limited for hot mix asphalt, and that council approves the awarding of RFT TC 002-26 hot mix asphalt to JR Civil Infrastructures Limited in the amount of $673,765.89, including HST. Moved by Deputy Mayor Smybert and seconded by Councillor Lockie. All in favor? And that is carried. Item number 12.3, CSF 016-26 playground RFP recommendations. And Mr. McDonald, go ahead.
Thank you. Through you, your worship, you have before you the report regarding playground RFP proposals and staff recommendations. 2 playgrounds were included in this year's capital budget, with these locations referred to as the core project in both the RFP and within this report. The core projects are firstly a playground for our new green space in the boardwalk at Mill Pond subdivision, and secondly, replacing the aged playground on Woodvale Drive located in the Valley View 2 subdivision. The available budget for the core project consists of $55,000 carried over from when the boardwalk playground was first budgeted last year, plus the additional $100,000 budgeted for this capital project in 2026. To keep costs down and thereby maximize how far we can stretch the budget, we are doing the following. At Woodvale, staff are removing the existing structure and disposing of it, while keeping the existing swings and communication board in place as they are still in good condition. And for boardwalk location, we are leaving swings as a future phase to maximize 2026 funds to ensure a substantial main structure for this year. There was then a third location and project included in the playground RFP as a provisional item for the addition of a wheelchair swing at our Dream Park. This project was not included in the 2026 budget, but then became a possibility thanks to the EASE grant that we announced earlier this year. This aspect of the RFP was made provisional in the event that all bids came in above the available funds, with the available funds for that project being the EASE grant, but also the additional on-hand donations that the Dream Park Committee has raised to date that are still available for the next phase. Based on the results from the scoring matrix that was used, the evaluation committee is recommending awarding the core project to World Park Solutions and the wheelchair swing to Open Space Solutions. Both of these recommendations came in under budget. There are some renditions of the proposed equipment for all 3 locations attached to the report. With the winning wheelchair bid leaving over $11,000 of the grant funds unused, we will be inquiring if the balance can be used towards other accessible related improvements for the playground. And with that being said, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thanks, Mr. McDonald. Any questions from council? Go ahead, Councillor Crockett.
Thank you, Mayor. First and foremost, I just want to say thank you. I think I get asked weekly whether there is a timeline available for the Boardwalk Park, which will lead me to my next question is, do we have a timeline for these
Yes,
installation?
yes, we do. All 3 projects are on target to be completed before the end of August.
Perfect. Councillor Lockie.
Yeah, through your worship, will there be like any length of time where we take out the old one and put in the new one that they won't be able to use the parks?
Yeah, just for Woodvale, as we're taking out the whole structure and having to move the swings a bit. So that one, we're gonna work with the contractor to ensure we pull it out just before they plan to arrive. The last thing we want to do is pull it out and have it then waiting for weeks for them to start. So we're gonna coordinate that as tight as we can, but otherwise, the wheelchair swing should not impact access to the remainder of the Dream Park. And there's nothing at Boardwalk as of yet, so no issues there.
Perfect, thank you.
Deputy Mayor Smybert.
Just a comment that I think we should really extend our thanks to the Dream Park Committee. talk about a dream. They've really done a lot of work, a lot of fundraising to get a lot of accessible playground features within that park. And I think when we see visitors come to Thames Center to Dorchester, they're in awe. They really see some really unique pieces there. So I think it's great that that committee is still working hard to raise some funds.
Thank you, and it is well used.
Mhm.
Yeah. Anyone else with a comment? Okay, then, in that case, a mover and a seconder that report CSF 01626 be received for information, and that council hereby approve the awarding of the core playgrounds project, new playground at Boardwalk and replacing playground structure on Woodvale Drive to New World Park Solutions at a cost of $150,000 plus HST, and that council hereby approve the awarding of the wheelchair swing project to Open Space Solutions at a cost of $45,970 plus HST. Moved by Councillor Crockett and seconded by Councillor Lockie. All in favor? And that carries. Thanks. Okay, 12.4 on your agenda. CSF 016 converting the current scheme 43 agreement with UTRCA to category 2 agreement at renewal time. And again, our Director of Community Services.
Thank you, through you, your worship. Our current agreement for these lands is set to expire March 31st of next year. However, working towards the new 2027 agreement sooner than later is advantageous for two main reasons. Firstly, getting this done while Upper Thames is still authorized to do so, thereby avoids any uncertainty that is looming with the amalgamation of conservation authorities, because at some point that ability that for them to do so could be pulled. Secondly, the proposed changes in our agreement will require Upper Thames River Conservation Authority to make staffing arrangements in advance of the effective date of April 1st next year. So getting this started and in place sooner than later will provide our friends at Upper Thames with as much time as possible in that regard. Since initially partnering with Upper Thames on the lands covered by this agreement in 1981, this has been an agreement referred to as a Scheme 43. As documented in the report, staff believe that transitioning to a Category 2 land management agreement would be in the best interest of the municipality. Reasons for changing to a Category 2 include, firstly, obtaining more assistance from Upper Thames to undertake many of the land management responsibilities on behalf of Thames Center, which will optimize safety and minimize liability. Secondly, it allows us to better benefit from Upper Thames's knowledge base and expertise in various areas of land management where TC simply does not have that training and knowledge. And thirdly, the substantial increase in the use of these lands over the last many years brings rise to concerns with the degradation of the property. This is also a concern of the Mill Pond Committee. Having the heightened involvement of Upper Thames will help in this regard, as it assigns a significant portion of upkeep to them. As detailed on page 3 of the report, additional responsibilities shifted to Upper Thames with a Category 2 agreement include, firstly, development and maintenance of the trail systems and supporting infrastructure. Secondly, enforcing applicable statutes and legislation. Thirdly, risk management and hazard tree programs. Fourth, monitoring and enhancing natural resources. And fifth, coordinating and promoting community groups and reporting. And there's more details on all 5 of those areas in the report. Upper Thames has been under a comparable agreement with the City of London since 2002. I had the opportunity to speak with the manager at London who works with Upper Thames on this, and he verified that this arrangement is working incredibly well for London. As a result, staff is looking for council approval to proceed with finalizing a Category 2 agreement, which would come back to council for final approval. The 2027 budget would then be drafted to include the estimated annual operating cost of $62,000, along with any identified capital projects. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have at this time. And also please be advised that Brandon Williamson from Upper Thames has joined us virtually for the meeting, so he's available to answer any questions as well.
Thanks very much, Mr. McDonald. Any questions from council? Nope. Counselor Heeman?
Just a comment that, I think, a lot of these natural areas and, wetlands are, highly prized by the community. And I think we also have to acknowledge the difficult regulatory environment. If we were to do these things on our own, getting Section 28 permits, mapping hazards, mapping species at risk. So I think this relationship really allows for the best outcome for us as, providing services for the community and also protecting the environment. So I think this just makes it easier to have that back and forth so that we can do those enhancements that we need to maintain these crown jewels.
Thank you, Counselor Heeman. Anyone else to make a comment? Okay. All right then. And thanks to Mr. Williamson for being online tonight. We have before us a motion appended to your agenda. It's fairly long, so I will not read it, but it'll be appearing on the screen here shortly. So a mover and a seconder for the motion before you. Deputy Mayor Smybert and Councillor Crockett, all in favor. Thank you. That carries. The next item is 12.5 CSF 018-26 advertising revenue sharing agreement with Dorchester Dolphins. And again, Mr. McDonald to present.
Okay, through you, your worship. It's dolphin season, and not like a hunting season, like deer season. We do not condone the hunting of dolphins, and not like Shark Week. It's not something on the Nature Channel, and not their hockey season either. But correct. But instead, it's dolphin season because this is the third straight month that we're enjoying a report regarding our Dorchester Dolphins. No dolphins were harmed in the making of this report. As you will recall, at the April 20th meeting of council, you were provided with information on the longstanding verbal agreement between the municipality and 4 youth sports teams and associations, whereby a portion of our arena advertising revenue is shared with these groups. Then last month, council approved a lease agreement extension for the Dolphins, with that report noting that county legal recommends that the revenue sharing agreement be covered in a separate agreement, hence this report today. As well, at the May Council meeting, the Dolphins had a delegation and council suggested that staff work with the Dolphins to identify other possible opportunities where the Dolphins can earn more revenue to help cover their costs. A new opportunity has since been agreed upon in principle between staff and the Dolphins and included in this proposed agreement, which with this agreement aligning with recommendation number 74 of our Community Service and Facility Master Plan. The new opportunity provides the Dolphins with 60% of the revenue for any advertising added within the arena bowl area. And the reason we did that is at first we were talking about specific things that could be done, like what if we put ads here? What if we put ads there? And to date, that's what it is. Right now, they have a percentage shared for 3 specified types of ads. So instead of having to potentially come back to council every time we think of another place we could slap some advertising, this encompasses all of it. So we thought that was the best way. And that's the same, the 60% is the same that we're currently providing them with rink board advertising. So that has been reflected in the agreement. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you again. Any questions from council on this matter? Councillor Crockett.
Thank you, Mayor. Not necessarily a question, but I think thank you is warranted for this. I know that we had a long-standing discussion on what possibilities were out there for Dolphins advertising. And obviously this verbal agreement, it was worthwhile to get it written and formalized due to the substantial income that they generate from it. But I just wanted to point out that our other minor sports teams also get some benefits from this agreement outside of the Dolphin agreement, but in the revenue sharing aspect. So it's overall a great opportunity for local businesses to advertise within the community, not only for benefits for themselves, but also for our minor sports. So thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Crockett. No one else? Okay, so then at this time, I'm a mover and a seconder that report number CSF 18 26 be received for information, and that council approve the advertising revenue sharing agreement substantially in the form attached to report CSF 18 26 with the Dorchester Dolphins Hockey Club Limited, and that council authorize the mayor and clerk to execute the advertising revenue agreement with the Dorchester Dolphins Hockey Club. Moved by Councillor Crockett and seconded by Councillor Lockie. All in favor? And I carry. And you're up again.
Yeah, last time, I promise. Um,
12.6 Great Lakes Canadian Agreement.
Thank you. The purpose of this report is to extend the partnership agreement that is approaching the end of its initial 5-year term. This agreement has been mutually beneficial for Thames Centre and for Great Lake Canadians. GLC is eager to propose capital improvements to baseball facilities at our outdoor recreation complex, but understandably would want to ensure the agreement will continue past the first term before potentially investing a great deal of time and private funds for upgrades. Thames Centre has benefited from approximately 400 volunteer hours per season from GLC to assist with various at the Ball Diamonds, along with $165,000 that they have personally invested to date, plus all of the additional donors and sponsors that they have brought to the ballparks, which has totaled over 300,000 thus far and counting, in addition to their connections to various grant opportunities focused on baseball. And not to forget the thousands of visitors they draw into Thames Centre with their various elite tournaments and events they host at our facility each season. Changes to this partnership agreement are few from the initial, but explained on page 3 of the report. The main update is simply adding reference to the second ball diamond, Royal Field, as that was not in existence when this agreement started. This agreement aligns with recommendations 46 and 47 of our master plan for the department. With the approval of this agreement extension, staff would then report back very soon with GLC's proposal to upgrade the infield of the original ball diamond for council's consideration. And with that being said, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Steve. Any questions from council? I don't have a question about the Great Lakes specifically, but I do have one question. Is there any forward plan about some sort of food services at the concession booth that's there? Because I recognize it's quite limited.
Yes, at this point, we went out earlier this year to solicit bids or expressions of interest to run. We had a couple of vacant food booths. So the former owner of the Fat Olive is now operating the food booth at the Orc. The one challenge there is that when that field house was built, a exhaust hood was not put in, as they're costly. They're about $30,000. So at this point, it's not to the municipality's advantage to install one, as it would take many years of rent before we would regain our cost for that investment, nor is it a worthwhile investment for someone who's, you know, locked in for a year. They wouldn't want to do that either. However, that being said, Dino has experience and is setting up an outdoor cooking area behind the field house that's closed in, like with grills, outdoor grills and barbecues, so that he can provide a better selection of food than otherwise available there.
Appreciate the response to that, because I have been asked that question, and also it's a good way of keeping revenue inside the municipality so that we get some additional benefit for our businesses over and above the facility. All right, so any other questions, comments from council? So there's the motion before you that the report be received and that council approve the partnership agreement extension substantially in the form to report CSF 01926 with Great Lake Canadians Baseball, and that council authorize the mayor and the clerk to execute the partnership agreement extension with Great Lakes Canadian Baseball, Inc. regarding assigned responsibilities and use of the baseball diamonds at the outdoor recreation complex located at 3245 Hamilton Road in Dorchester. Moved by Deputy Mayor Smybert and seconded by Councillor Lockie. All in favor? And that carries. All right, so we're gonna look to our CAO for item number 12.7, 2026 insurance request for proposal results. Oh, choices. There you go. Here.
Yay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report was very much a collaborative effort with our Director of Financial Services and Treasurer. But we are happy to report that we have a recommendation for council. Our insurance was ending, and we took the opportunity to use our new service to us, service through the County of Middlesex through the procurement office, and went out to the market, and we put to the market the opportunity to either propose insurance opportunities for through a broker or directly through the insurer themselves. So as the report details, we got 5 different bids, and through the evaluation process of the treasurer and myself, we're recommending to you that you enter into a contract for the service with Intact Public Entities. This is a cost savings compared to previous term. So we also have the representative from Intact Insurance, Tony Camiso, is here this evening if council has any specific questions. I will say part of the terms of the RFP where we were looking for the same level of insurance, and if there were other services they could provide, then we would be happy to take those as well. And certainly that is what was submitted through Intact, was an increased level of service, much of which is helpful to us in making sure we are providing our services safely and keeping the community safe and limiting our liability. So if you have any questions, or you have questions for the director or for Mr. Camiso.
Okay, thank you, Jill. We'll start with council. Any questions, either for the CAO or for Mr. Camiso? Deputy Mayor Smybert?
Just had a question about the cybersecurity. That's something that is new. Is it for Thames Center? We haven't had it before.
Do you, Mayor? No, we have had cyber insurance. It's just through the arrangement with Intact, they have to go to the market slightly differently than previous broker. And maybe he does want to answer that.
Tony, just turn on the middle button there on the mic.
Perfect.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Hello, everyone. To answer the Deputy Mayor's question, the cyber market you currently have, we also do business with. We will complete our transfer, broker record of transfer letter once we have binding instructions from council and staff. It's the same policy, same rates, same everything.
Thank you. Did I see another hand up? No, maybe not. Okay, if there are no other questions, then a mover and a seconder to approve the motion that's on the screen here. Moved by Councillor Lockie and seconded by Deputy Mayor Smybert. All in favor? Okay, that carries. Thanks for coming in, Tony. So the next item on the agenda is 12.8 FS 009-26 2025 Treasurer's Annual Report on Development Charges, and we're going to look to Ken Clark to present.
Mayor and members of council, I'm pleased to present the 2025 Treasurer's Annual Report on Development Charges as required under Section 43 of the Development Charges Act. This report provides council with a comprehensive financial overview of development charge revenues, expenditures, and reserve fund activity for the 2025 fiscal year, and supports council's oversight of growth-related infrastructure financing. Overall, the report highlights continued financial pressures within the municipality's development charge framework. Growth has occurred at a slower pace than originally forecast, resulting in lower than anticipated development charge revenues, while at the same time, capital costs have continued to increase. These factors are placing sustained pressure on development charge reserve funds and limiting the municipality's ability to advance growth-related infrastructure. Staff continue to actively monitor these pressures and are reviewing available tools and programs to support long-term financial sustainability. I would be happy to answer any questions relating to the report.
Thanks very much. And I do want to say thanks to you and for the finance staff for such a comprehensive report. It was very much appreciated. It's certainly for me anyway. Any questions or comments from the members of council? Deputy Mayor Smyberg?
Just had a questions probably for planning. In terms of the homes that are being built in 2026, are we seeing a bit of an uptick, or are we still seeing it being fairly flat? Or do you know? Okay.
Through the mayor to the deputy mayor, there is a slight increase, but it is still pretty slow and steady. So certainly we're not looking as though we're going to hit the targets that were estimated in the development charges background study. In 2001 is when that was based off of, and construction was pretty heightened at that time. But we are seeing slight uptick compared to previous years.
Anyone else? Councillor Lockie?
Yeah, through your worship. So obviously, you know, the negative balance in wastewater is obviously a huge concern. And it's something that we're really going to have to keep our eye out for. Obviously, we have, we're having the study done, which will help us considerably. But when we do any projects, it obviously has to be taken into consideration.
Thank you. Anyone else has a comment? No? Okay. So then a mover and a seconder that report FS 009-26 be received for information in accordance with section 43(1) of the Development Charges Act of 1997, which requires the municipal treasurer to provide a financial statement relating to the development charge bylaw and associated reserve funds, and that the 2025 Treasurer's Annual Report on Development Charges be made available to the public on the Municipality of Thames Center website to fulfill council's obligation under section 43 2.1 of the Development Charges Act 1997. A mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Lockie and seconded by Deputy Mayor Smyberg. And all in favor? And that carries. Let me see. Okay, the next item on the agenda is 12.9 regarding 2025 Parkland Reserve Annual Financial Statement. And again, our director, Ken Clark.
Mayor, members of council, through a similar vein, this is the Parkland Reserve Annual Financial Statement, which is in accordance with the reporting requirements of the Planning Act. This report provides a transparent overview of the Parkland Reserve Fund, including contributions received, interest earned, expenditures, and year-end balances for 2025. The statement supports council's oversight of how parkland funds are managed and ensures compliance with legislative requirements, including the obligation to allocate or spend a portion of the reserve fund annually. Overall, this report does not introduce any new financial commitments, but fulfills statutory reporting requirements while maintaining transparency and accountability to both council and the public. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So, council, any questions for the Director of Financial Services? No. Okay, dokie. So a mover and a seconder for the motion before you. Councillor Crockett as mover and seconded by Deputy Mayor Smyberg, and all in favor? And that carries. The next one is also, you can, for a while you said nothing, now you got lots to say, eh? Okay, so 12.10 FS 011-26, inclusion of growth water projects in the 2026 capital budget.
Through you, Mayor and members of council, this report seeks council approval to include 3 growth-related water projects. These were previously identified in the 2021 Development Charges Background Study, and they belong in the 2026 Water Growth Capital Budget. The total project value is approximately 2.29 million, with roughly 1.65 million to be funded from the Water Development Charges Reserve Fund. In addition to advancing key infrastructure required to support growth, approval of these projects would significantly improve the municipality's compliance with Development Charges Act requirements by increasing the committed portion of the Water Development Charges Reserve Fund from approximately 31% to 83%, which is the requirement to be able to continue to collect DCs related to water for the municipality. Overall, this report supports both growth planning objectives and the financial sustainability of the municipality's development charge framework. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Thanks, Mr. Clark. Any questions from council? Councillor Lockie?
Yeah, through your worship, just a comment, like great work on this. And of all things growth related, I think water's got to be one of the most important ones. And so this is really important. And it's also, you know, we have a healthy reserve with water growth. So I think that's an excellent recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Lockie. Anyone else? Councillor Human?
Yeah, likewise, I'd agree. I think it's good that this is also working towards creating shovel-ready wet industrial lands, and I think that's good for the broader economic development of the community.
Thank you. If there are not any other comments or questions for the director, then the motion before you is that report number FS 011-26 be received for information, and that council approve an increase to the 2026 water growth capital budget in the amount of $2,285,800, including $1,652,300 funded from the Water Development Charges Reserve Fund for 3 projects identified in the 2021 Development Charges Background Study. Moved by Councillor Lockie and seconded by Councillor Crockett. All in favor? And that carried. So, one more. Go ahead, Mr. Clark.
So this report is the Development Charge Reduction Program. So this report provides an overview of the newly announced Canada-Ontario jointly Development Charge Reduction Program and seeks council direction on whether the municipality should pursue participation in the program. The program is intended to support housing development by encouraging municipalities to reduce development charges in exchange for potential access to provincial and funding for growth-related infrastructure. While the program may present some opportunities to support housing growth and secure external funding, it also introduces financial considerations and many risks, including the need to offset reduced development charge revenues through other municipal funding sources. The report is intended to outline those considerations and support council in determining an approach for Thames Center. And I'd be happy to help and answer any questions you may have related.
Again, thanks, Ken, to you and your staff. It's a pretty weighty topic these days. Any questions from the members of council or comments? Councillor Crockett.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you for putting together this report. I had a few questions from the public come forward on kind of where the municipality was sitting on the decision, and then the letter that came forward gave us a very quick deadline to make a decision for. That being said, I'm hesitant to enter into this program, especially with the unknown parameters around for smaller urban and rural areas. That seems to still be pending. And I think it's kind of unclear of where we would sit in that. I think we've heard from others that Thames Center's DC rates could be considered high, but we do require extensive infrastructure and maintenance to support our growing population. And we often say around the horseshoe that growth should be funding growth. And I think that this just provides a bit too much of a gray area for me to feel comfortable going forward with that. And as I mentioned, I would like to see where some direction for more rural municipalities goes before making a decision without all of that information available to us.
Thank you, Councillor Crockett. Is there anyone else who want to comment? Councillor Heeman, let's start with you.
Yeah, I'm kind of conflicted on this because I think, we do have higher operating costs as a municipality. Like, we look at our water and wastewater, and here in Dorchester alone, we have some unique circumstances. We don't have access to lake water. All these things add to our operating costs. That said, I do recall when we applied to the Federal Housing Accelerator Fund, we applied, we didn't get it. And if we were successful, we would have had to give up quite a few different things, like 4 stories as a right. Like, there was a number of different options. So I think that it's not necessarily bad to apply. And if we receive the funds, then maybe we can evaluate what that looks like. But it's hard to judge a bird in hand versus 2 in the bush when you don't have either one. And then likewise, I think there are some things where I think it may make sense and to make accommodations. If we were to have Indwell or Chartwell, like good public-private partnerships, come in and say they want to create actual, real affordable housing, not just attainable housing and advertising slogans, then I think that would be a circumstance where it would be worthwhile to look at reducing our development charges. And, we may just do that through a CIP or whatnot. And I think that's what the city of London has done when you see these splashy announcements about reduced development charges, that it's actually for real affordable housing for real people in need. And other than that, I don't see how you're going to reduce the housing market.
Deputy Mayor Smyberg.
Yeah, I agree with both Councillor Heeman and Councillor Crockett in terms of this legislation or this program came out quite suddenly. There hasn't been a lot of dialogue discussions with municipalities about it. There are some risks, I think, and some challenges, and I agree too. When it's nice to hear that a municipality is going to look at reducing development charges, but I don't think people understand that when you do that, a municipality still has to make up that money, which means in turn an increase in property taxes, right? So as Councillor Crockett has indicated, I think growth should pay for growth rather than existing residents having to pay for that. So I like staff's recommendation, the first one, in terms of let's kind of wait and see. Let's take a look at the program once there's more information about how it can impact smaller and rural municipalities. So I would move option 1, which is to receive this report.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor Smyberg. If I may take one moment to comment before. This program was announced for the 1st of June with an intake of the 19th of June. So it was an extremely short window. And the applications have to be very specific to the project that you're asking for. So I think the decision that council has to make is being weighed between, do you jump in and reduce? And then if you don't get the grant, then what happens? So it's a bit of Russian roulette in my mind. So I'll look to see what the other members of council have to say.
You have a motion on the floor, so I need a seconder at some point, though.
Okay. Anyone to second the motion, and then we'll go to discussion. Second by Councillor Crockett, and then we'll go to discussion.
Yeah, through your show, I also second, I also agree. I'm concerned that, I mentioned about the DCs with respect to wastewater. Like, I don't think we have enough to kind of fund development. So we don't want to risk our ability to collect enough to pay for what we need to grow. I'm also, yeah, so many unknowns. What's going to happen after 3 years? Could we be stuck at the lower rate? So I don't think we should jump in.
Okay, so we have the motion on the floor and we have it seconded. So all in favor of and I will reread it, that report number FS 012-26, Canada Ontario Development Charge Reduction Program be received for information, and that council direct staff to prepare a report on the anticipated new funding program available for rural, small, and northern communities under the Canada-Ontario Partnership to Build once the program is announced. Okay, so all in favor? And that carries. Great. So the next item on your agenda, 13, reports of committees. Items listed under the reports of committees are approved by council in one motion. Council members may request that one or more items be separated for further action. Anyone wanting to pull? Councillor Crockett?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to speak to the motions provided in 13.1 and 13.4 as the chair of both of those committees. If I may, I'll begin with the Thames Center Special Events Committee. We are looking forward to everyone joining us on Canada Day. The fireworks will be taking place the evening before on June 30th, with Canada Day festivities taking place on July 1st. And we are happy to support the Dorchester District Lions Club by the way of $2,000 for fireworks for that evening. In addition to that, there will be some added information likely in this week's signpost about what's taking place on those days. We had some other discussions take place, but I did also want to note that we're happy to also be hosting our movie nights this summer, both of which will be taking place in August, one in Thorndale and one in Dorchester. And if I may, I'll move ahead to the motions regarding the conversations that took place with the Sports Wall of Fame Committee. We, as a committee, decided that it would be a recommendation to move the induction ceremony for Sports Wall of Fame to take place once per term of council. This, I think, is just more appropriate for the intake periods, which will still remain annually, but then because for a bigger celebration towards the end of term of council for those that would be joining the wall. I'm going to actually skip over B and talk about that one last. Item number C, a recommendation came forward from the committee regarding a mural of dragon wings, since our minor sports teams tend to be mostly dragons, but this would be installed inside the Flight Exec Center and used as a celebratory photo backdrop, essentially, for our sports teams, and then for any outside visitors that would like to take some, tourist photos. So we're looking forward to seeing that come to fruition. And then finally, I just wanted to point out the recommendation in regards to diamond number 1 being named after Dorothy Slater and Donna Aiken, who were both very integral and have many accomplishments with the Dorchester Girls Fastball Association. And I want to send a special thank you to Carol Black, who nominated Dorothy Slater. And she's been working on pushing that forward for some time now. And I think both ladies are very worthy of having the diamond neck named after them and that local recognition. So I just wanted to point that out before we conclude item number 13, but we're very excited about these advancements.
Thanks, Councillor Crockett. Anyone else?
Yeah,
Yeah,
for your
sorry.
worship,
Okay.
yes. So with respect to the Environmental Advisory Committee, just remind people, we still looking to get a few more nominations for the Green Champion Awards. So if there's anybody that we can think of that is nominating, and don't be intimidated by last year's award winners. They were pretty amazing. We are definitely looking for more applicants. You don't need to plant an entire forest to be worthy. There's so many amazing initiatives out there, and we want to hear about them.
Thanks, Councillor Lockie. And just going back to the Canada Day events, just letting everyone know that the IODE group here, the Val Griffith chapter, is doing their annual pancake and strawberry breakfast. So everyone's welcome. All right, so if there's nothing else, then a mover and a seconder that reports of committee's agenda items 13.1 through 13.4 be approved as presented. Councillor Lockie and Councillor Crockett. All in favor? And that carries. Okay, any new business? No, all right, bylaws. Oh, my mayor's report. No. Yeah, I know, I think. No. I do not have a mayor's report tonight for a variety of reasons, but I will be making one next month. A notice of motion then from Councillor Crockett.
Thank you, Mayor. To preface the motion before us, I just wanted to recognize that this helps begin addressing the traffic safety concerns being raised by residents today, and allows us to explore practical options before traffic volumes are anticipated to increase in the future. Through discussions with staff, we adjusted the wording of a road safety study while still ensuring that a traffic and pedestrian review would take place ahead of the planned resurfacing of Tyner Ave and neighboring roads within the next 3 to 5 years. This is a fiscally responsible approach, as active transportation options can be reviewed and incorporated when detailed design work is undertaken, and ensures public input will be considered. Conducting a full study today before the traffic volumes associated with the future development materialize would be a bit premature and may not produce the most effective recommendations. It's also worth noting that Thames Centre has recommended that comprehensive traffic impact and safety assessments be completed for each phase of the Acorn Valley development, ensuring traffic and safety conditions continue to be evaluated as the area grows. In the meantime, there are steps that we can take now. Dorothy, our road radar sign, has been deployed throughout Tyner Estates over the past month or so. That data being collected will help staff better understand current traffic conditions and assist in determining timelines and any future traffic calming or safety improvements should they be warranted. Additionally, staff are already reviewing directional signage, and if this motion is adopted, can begin discussions with Upper Thames River Conservation Authority regarding opportunities to improve parking around the Mill Pond. And I will also add, since there's quite a few residents here in the gallery and possibly watching online, that the recommendation that was put forward to Middlesex County regarding the draft plan of subdivision approval for Acorn Valley on May 25th is expected to be presented in July. Sorry, that was a little lengthy, but I wanted to get all that out ahead of time. So with that, I do have a motion before us that council directs staff to incorporate active transportation options, including design and funding alternatives for the existing Tyner Estate subdivisions, into the scope of the next road reconstruction project, which is estimated within 3 to 5 years, and that staff be directed to present detailed design options for those active transportation elements at public input meetings to obtain and incorporate community feedback prior to the final design approval, and that staff work with the applicable conservation authority, might not be UTRCA, to review opportunities for additional parking spaces and report back to council with findings, recommended next steps, estimated costs, and required approvals. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Crockett. And we have Councillor Crockett moving this motion, but I just wanted to remind anyone who is here or watching online that for this particular item, agenda item 16, the notice of motion for Tyner subdivision, please be advised that this item does not include an opportunity for public input. So I just wanted that to be clear. So we have a motion on the floor and we're looking for a seconder. Councillor Lockie, all in favor? Or any, I'm sorry, any discussion on it?
Yeah, just some comments again. So earlier in the meeting, I know where we look at this and it says 3 to 5 years. You know, that seems like a long way away. So earlier in the meeting, when I thanked Director Craven, it's because 4 years ago, we had a motion to put a crosswalk in. And that was all of council being on board. But because it was a county road, we had to work with the county. Half of that funding came from the county, things of that nature. So I think that this does put some of those active transport options in context, and the motion at the previous meeting to do the study. This puts a path in place for there to be actual follow-up and construction. So once we have the study and the insights, this is the mechanism to make the changes. And I think some of those things with respect to, parking, they don't necessarily require additional study, right? I think those are things that a future council with a future budget could prioritize in a more timely manner, as long as all of the environmental regs are done correctly with the upper Thames. So I know this seems like kicking the can down the road, but this is about the reasonable amount of time it takes once everybody agrees to get the ball rolling, regardless of how long or whatever happens with Acorn Valley. So I just want to provide that added context to this motion.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else joining in the discussion? No? Okay, we have the motion before. Did I ask that? Okay. It was moved, Danielle, I remember there's some. Okay, all in favor?
I apologize just before I think I read it out, but the motion on the agenda is different from the motion up there because we made one small edit to say parking spaces for the mill pond.
Okay, thanks for the clarification. Okay, we'll call the vote now. All in favor? And that carries. Okay, thank you. Okay. Item number 18, bylaws. A mover and a seconder that bylaw 46-2026 be given third and final reading and be adopted. Moved by Deputy Mayor Smyber and seconded by Councillor Lockie. All in favor? And that carries. All right. At this time, council will be moving into closed session for which there will be no live streaming. The live stream will resume once the closed session portion has been completed. And that adjournment is at 6:27 p.m. pursuant to section 239 2E of the Municipal Act, in order for council to consider an item regarding litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board. Moved by Deputy Mayor Smyberg and seconded by Councillor Crockett. All in favor? All right, we'll take about 5 minutes. session. And during closed session, council considered information related to litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, and provided direction to staff. So, sorry, I didn't know. Okay, we move on to the confirmatory bylaw, being a bylaw to adopt, confirm, and ratify matters dealt with by resolution of the municipality of Thames, and that bylaw 48-2026, being the confirmatory bylaw, be read a first, second, and third time, and finally be adopted. A mover and a seconder, please. Deputy Mayor Smybert and Councillor Crockett. All in favor? All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The next meeting of the regularly scheduled meeting of the council will be Monday, June 29th, 2026 at 5 p.m. here in the chambers. And following that, Monday, July 20th, 2026 at 5 p.m. And a motion for adjournment at 6:43 p.m. Councillor Lockie and Councillor Crockett, all in favor? And that